Hello and welcome to another Sir Mad Charlie video. Today we're going to do something a bit different. It's not going to be like the regular shorts video, it's going to be like a full length video. And today I'm just going to tell you a few stories of what's happened so far. So, when I was in my first year of college, which is year 9 for me, I had this teacher, who I'm going to call Miss Lister since that's her name. So I was in her class and I had it first thing, and I walked into the door of the class at exactly 8:40, which is when school starts. And as I walked in, I yelled out, "I'm on time! You can't mark me as being late!" And guess what she did? She marked me as being late. What an absolute Karen thing to do. And so then when I went into Arco time, which is like a class in between the first class and the second class, and it's before morning tea. In America, I think they call it like homeroom or something. So when I was in that class, I actually emailed the office ladies, and I was like, "Hey, office ladies, my teacher marked me as being late. I wasn't late. Could you please change this ASAP?" And so they probably emailed emailed Miss Lister. I was like, "Hey, Charlie reckons he wasn't late. Can you please change this on your roll?" And so the teacher was like, no. I'm like, "Well, why not?" And he's like, and then she's like, "Oh, because he was late." And then when I was still in Arco time, the teacher did the most annoying thing ever. It was literally the most rude thing in the world. It was, she decided to just be like, she ran into my class practically screaming at the top of her lungs. She's like, "Charlie, why did you email the office?" I'm like, ooh, I'm in trouble, aren't I? And so I was literally sitting at my desk, trying my hardest not to cry in front of the rest of my class, which is all a whole entire year of age older than me. And then my teacher, who's like the most sweet lady in the world, Miss Smith, she was like, "Charlie, are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm okay." And she got my favourite teacher, and I'm actually the favourite of my teacher. And so this teacher who I'm the favourite of, his name is Mr. Rogers. I'm his favourite. I don't know why, but then he's my favourite, and it's all because on the first time I saw him, he was wearing a tie, and I'm like, okay, you're gonna be my favourite teacher. And so ever since, he has been my favourite teacher, and so he came and sorted it out, and so that was quite nice of me. So that's the first story done. The next story I have to share is of when I was still in year 9, later on in the year though, and it wasn't the same psycho teacher this time. This time, it was a really strict teacher, and I had her for English. And so, we were supposed to write an essay on a book, and we had to hand it in on the Google Classroom at exactly the time, exactly when school started, which was, yet again, 8:40. And so I handed it in almost like half a second after, and she said she'd already told us, "If you do not hand it in on time, you will have a detention." Like, I am not having a detention. I cannot have a detention. I have been a perfect student all year. And so I handed in 1 second late, and then the psycho teacher, Miss Burke, she's like, "You handed it in late, you're detention." I'm like, "No, I can't get detention." And she's like, "Well, you have a detention. I'll meet you in my class after school." I'm like, no. And I started crying in front of the whole entire class. It was the most traumatic experience of my life, practically. And so, yeah, I had a detention. I thought it was going to be, like, real bad, and my parents were, like, going to get, like, a call or something from the teacher. But that's not how detentions work. At least that's not what happens when you're on your first strike. Very different to what happens. When you're on your first strike, you just go in, and you just have to, like, tell the teacher, "Oh, I'm sorry for doing this. I'll make sure to do my work on time and hand it in on time on Google Classroom." Like, yeah. Like, "Oh, I'll make sure to do it first thing next time, and I won't have anything in my way or doing blah 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 blah, and I'll do it properly and fully," and all this sort of junk. And then it was all fine, and I didn't actually get in trouble. And so that's my story about my teacher from English, Miss Burke. Ooh, I'm still alive. So since I'm still alive, I will share another story. So my next story, it is of, actually, this year, since I'm now in year 11 in college, I had some DGT work to do, which is like, DGT is like digital technologies, it's like computer class. And then in DGT, I did not do any of the work practically. I left everything to the last minute. And because of that, I left everything to the last minute. And we had a whole entire thing that we actually had to do, because if we didn't, we would fail as class. And I couldn't be failing DGT, right? So I wouldn't get into next, I wouldn't be able to get into class next year, and I really like DGT. It was like my favourite class in all of school. And so, on the literal last day that we had to do it, I spent a whole entire hour, which is how long classes are, of only doing the actual work that we were supposed to do, instead of just playing Minecraft with my friend Fergus, also known as Squishy Squash. If you subscribe to him, you should go do that. So, I was just playing games usually with him. Since I'm a Minecrafter and I like modding Minecraft, I'm probably going to do a video of me making a Minecraft mod eventually sometime, maybe next month. And so yeah, that's what I'll do. And then, we have to do Scratch for the DGT work. And so, I did the Scratch project, handed it in on the classroom. My teacher for DGT was Mr. Argon. He was the most chill guy in the world. He couldn't care less if you did any work or no work at all. As long as you got it done eventually, he couldn't care less. But you just had to have it done by the due date. And so, since we were doing Scratch, I made my Scratch project. It was a quiz about Minecraft to see how much you actually knew about the game. And so, to get like a merit, or to get like an A+ in America, you had to add a brand new like block kind of thing to your project. And if you didn't, you couldn't get a merit and you could only get achieved. And I was only going for achieved. And so I did it. And he's like, oh, you did it all right. And then later on that very same week, 1 week before my exams, he was like, oh no, you haven't done it right, you have to redo this, this, and this, and this. I'm like, no, I don't have to do this, and this. And yeah, and so like, I only have to do this. He's like, oh yeah, now I see. And so he fixed it up. And I'm like, oh, thanks, mister, it's all good now. Since it was all good then, since it was all done properly, and I, like, got on the achievement which I was looking for. And so I was happy then. And so that's that story about DG. Since I'm still alive, I will share another story. This one is about exams. One of the most terrifying things in the whole entire world for me has got to be exams. I was not prepared for the mocks. And in maths, I have a really nice teacher called Miss Hall. She's my year 11 maths teacher. And when I was in year 9, I had Miss Smith for maths. She was really nice as well. In year 10, I had Mr. Emmanuel. He's a real chillax dude. He has a really cool accent as well. Shout out to all those teachers. Thanks for helping me with my work and stuff. Anyway, so I had gotten everything in maths. I got like a merit, which in like America maybe is like a B+ or something. I don't know what American grades are like, so no, I'm not in America. And so we had to do the MCAT, which is the mock exam for the algebra thing, for like at the end of the year. I was like, oh my god. And so I spent a whole entire legitimate 2 whole entire actual days preparing for the MCAT, and then I failed the MCAT. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not gonna pass the year. Everything is over. My life is done. Since I'd actually failed a single thing in maths that year. Since I hadn't failed absolutely anything before then, and I actually failed one thing in maths, I'm like, oh my god, I'm going to die. But no. Even though I failed that one thing, I got into the next year of maths. And then when the actual exams happened, I was so glad that it wasn't algebra. Because I'm no good at algebra, it's stupid. Like, I never want to hear the word algebra ever again. Comment down algebra if you heard me say that. So, yeah, and then the exams, which were literally last week, my last one was the English one, and so I had to do a paper on the book. Its name was the name of the book was The Hate You Give. I don't know who it's by, but it was a really boring book in my opinion, so I could not remember a single thing about it. So when I ended up going to go do that book, I couldn't remember a single thing about it. And when I did the essay on it, I couldn't remember a single thing. And so even though it was literally against the rules to do it, I did an essay about the, you probably all have heard the story or watched the movies of Harry Potter, and so I did Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, which we weren't actually allowed to do. And so I did that anyway, and I haven't gotten my grades back, but I'm pretty sure I probably like got like a merit or maybe even achieved. Because in the mock exams, in the mock exams, I did not do it at all. I didn't do any of the... No, I didn't do the book essay in the mock exams. And so I was literally, I spent a whole entire 5 days of my whole entire week just preparing for the actual exam. And I was revising everything that I knew about the book, since I'd already... The reason why I chose Harry Potter and Chamber of Secrets is because I have the books 1, 2, 3, and 4 at home. The rest of them we don't own. And so then I decided, okay, I like this book, and since I've just read it, I might as well do the exam on it. And so I did the exam just the other day on Thursday, and I did it. And I think I'm legitimately sure that I may have gotten an achieved on it, which is like a B or C plus or something. Remembering, I'm not from America, so I don't know American terms. My viewers, yes, they're from America, but yeah. I'm gonna have to learn a few American things. But I don't know the American grade system, so I'm just gonna go with like, I got like a C on it. So yeah. And so I think I did really well. I don't know what my teacher will say about it, since like the book Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, that's not up to the standard of work that we're supposed to do. We're supposed to do stuff like Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. Like, because the book was not up to standard, my teacher said if you do it, you're probably going to fail. But I did it anyway, and I'm pretty sure I passed, since when I was practicing for it, I wrote a whole entire 8-page essay, and like, saying 8 pages out loud, it seems like a lot of pages, but I didn't write a lot of pages. It's the fact that I skipped lines, and so that's why I do it. I skip lines, and that's why it looks like I've written like 8 pages worth of work, when I've really not done that much. And so this was like a week before I practiced it, and I practiced writing an essay, and in our class we've been practicing the essay structure of Peel. I don't know if you know what it is, but I'll tell you anyway. So the essay structure of Peel is like, so the way that you write the essay, first sentence or two is a point about what you're trying to say in that paragraph. The next sentence or two is an example of what's happening, and like, oh, this character helps me understand blah 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 blah. And then you give them a reason for how it makes you understand blah 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 blah. And after you've done that, oh no, I just missed it. Stole my car. So after you've done that, you have to go to like the next part of this, like point, example, explanation, and then for L it's linked to society. And so that was what I had to do. It's not the most memorable thing, but it's what I did. And I wrote a whole entire 2 pages, still skipping lines, in the actual exam on it. And I think I did really well. So, that's my stories for today. Hope you enjoyed listening to my stories. If you did, leave a like, comment down below what game you want me to play next. Subscribe, share the video if you want, and have a good day. See you next time.